the shores of the Mediterranean, the Roman ruins of Leptis Magna should be crawling with tourists. But for decades, Libya has been a no-go zone. Years of bankrolling terrorists and liberation movements have left the country isolated, its economy in ruins. Now, Libya is changing, surrendering weapons of mass destruction, including plans for a nuclear bomb. For decades, an enemy of the West, Libya is now desperately trying to rejoin the rest of the world. It is using its vast oil reserves to woo back former foes, especially the United States. The question is, why now? Well, years of funding terror against the West and wars of destabilisation across this region have squandered Libya's oil wealth, leaving it isolated and many Libyans poor. Caught between a more aggressive United States and perhaps more importantly, the growing anger of his own people, Libya's leader, Colonel Muammar Gaddafi, had to act. Meeting Gaddafi right now is impossible, but we did get the next best thing. The Colonel's most influential son and heir apparent, Saif Gaddafi, is well placed to reveal Libya's new strategy.
No more foreign battles, no more confrontation with the West, no more confrontation with the United States.
But make no mistake, this change of heart is about one thing: the survival of Gaddafi's dictatorship, and he's about to use Western petrodollars to do it. Ancient beats for a new beginning, or at least that's what the Libyans would like us to think. The Tripoli International Trade Fair has, until now, been a contradiction. There's been little trade. This year, though, the number of stalls has doubled. 40 countries have rushed to do business in this former pariah state. Gaddafi's hoping he can keep a new market economy somehow in tune with his mercurial one-man rule. And he's called in some help. Shukri Ghanem spent years outside Libya as a respected official at OPEC.
افتتاح الدورة الثالثة والثلاثين لمعرض طرابلس الدولي والتي ولا شك تعتبر نافذة.
He was recently recalled by Gaddafi, made Prime Minister, and told to revitalise an economy strangled by socialism.
Well, he supports it, and he agrees to it, and he is, of course, behind it. You see, our economic reforms are aimed at, as I said, improving the standard of living of the people, improving the rate of growth of the economy, and everyone would like it, of course. Gaddafi would like it.
But has the mad dog of the Middle East, as he was once called, really changed his bark? Saif Gaddafi says yes, that his father was eventually convinced that policies of terror and socialism were crippling the country.
At the beginning, of course, it wasn't easy, but he realized that it is in our favor and in our advantage for him, for Libyan society, Libyan people, Libyan state, for the future of the next generation. And I think all of us, we agreed that Libya should adopt several reforms, internally and externally.
After seizing power 35 years ago, the flamboyant colonel abolished shops and government and ruled Libya with an idiosyncratic iron fist. It was meant to be a revolution for the people, but Saif admits mistakes were made.
Sometimes, in order to pursue that moral principle, sometimes you adopt the wrong way, the wrong tool.
Is that what he did?
Sometimes yes, sometimes not. We're not perfect. We're not perfect. And we are human beings, we do mistakes.
But many of Gaddafi's so-called mistakes have been deliberate and deadly.
There are people in Libya, we know them by name, you know, who have been associated with killing, repression, torture in the prisons. Their hands are still dripping with blood. And now they are ministers in the government. They are heading the people's courts, for instance. They are in charge of the people's prosecution. They are in the judicial system. They are in the business sector. These are the people who are taking over these companies and running them. So how can you convince, you know, anybody that things have changed? They haven't.
In exile in London for 30 years, Asha Shamis is one of Libya's leading dissidents. Inside Libya, people are too afraid to criticise Gaddafi and his cronies.
There is a deliberate effort from Gaddafi and his supporters and his cronies to keep things as they were before and to make these cosmetic changes, outward changes, only to please the outside world and not to really bring about real change.
One thing that certainly hasn't changed is the privilege afforded Gaddafi's family.
You have quite close connections to Morocco, don't you?
As part of his grooming for leadership, Saif Gaddafi spends most of his time studying governance at the London School of Economics.
Do you think this is a bit of a generational change in the region?
But when visiting Libya, Saif stays at one of the family houses where he keeps pet tigers given to him as cubs by an Italian friend.
Righto.
He's shy.
He's very shy. Look at that. Why do you like tigers?
You know, colors, power, they're agile, clever. Righto.
The type of skills Gaddafi Sr. has used to stay in power.
Righto.
You don't get in the cage with them, do you, Saif?
Not anymore. Before, yes, but not anymore.
We can't lose you now. That's
At 31, Saif is most likely to succeed his father. But he says economic change does not mean Gaddafi is weakening his grip on political power.
He's a personality which you cannot replace, you cannot inherit, you cannot change. He's the leader. Nobody can inherit the leader. Nobody can say, now I'm the leader. Neither me nor anyone in the Libyan society. It's something unique, especially just for him.
So he can stay there basically as long as he likes.
Yes.
The very name Gaddafi has become a stigma in Libya. And anybody who comes with the same name is going to have real trouble. But there are people who think that the best thing that they can hope for is that somebody from the ruling family take over, but not with the old aims and goals. What Saif has to do, I think, is he has to prove himself to the Libyan people. He has to establish credibility between him and the people inside the country. And this can only be done by engaging the people directly.
Also spending much time outside Libya, this time in Italy, is another of Colonel Gaddafi.